we're with Nate from Roots. We're going to talk about his journey and just kind of how he got to where he's at today. First question, we already talked about it, but always ask, like, how did you get into jiu-jitsu all the way into like where we're at today?
Okay. I was a football player, like most local boys are. You know, played football in high school. Truly believed I was gonna go, D1, and then I was like,
yeah, NFL,
go D1. Then team's gonna want me. I'm gonna go to the league, like the whole spiel. COVID hit the same year I graduate. It kind of hindered football, but what really set it off was I tore my hamstring my senior year.
Oh, so you wouldn't have played anyway.
Done deal. Tore my hamstring. COVID hits. I can't get my physical therapy. Yeah, so I self-taught myself through a bunch of YouTube how to kind of rehab, but it's not the same when you have somebody that can instruct you, right?
Yep.
So I bailed on that idea. I was like, okay, well, it's the only thing I knew, was not jiu-jitsu, sorry, was football, like since I was 13, football. So I went through a small identity crisis. I was like, who am I? What am I here for? What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? But I stuck with the weightlifting.
Okay.
I ate like I was still playing football. So I went from, 205 in senior year, 260.
Is it good 260 or?
No.
Okay.
No. I knew it was a bad 260 because in a shirt, it's hard to tell, right? Someone that lifts weights and eats a lot, they're big, but they might not, their body composition might be a little different.
Yeah.
So in a shirt, I look okay, look good, not bad, but there's one time my dog got out of my hand while I was walking him, and I promise, my right boob almost hit me in my face, and I was like, I need to do something about this. I was like, okay, it's time.
That was the reality check?
That was the reality check.
What was that? Oh, that was me?
Yeah, exactly. Going downstairs, I feel myself going down the stairs, like, yeah, so I was like, okay, change is needed.
Okay.
But I was trying to power lift.
Okay.
And I was getting really strong, was going accordingly. Strained my quad.
Ooh.
That was heavy. That was heavy because I couldn't train heavy.
Right.
And I kept the eating habit. I did what I could in the gym with the injury, and it was just getting super out of hand. And I was like, well, I need to do something. I'm a very I need a direction. I need a goal. I need to achieve something, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just south.
Yeah,
south.
If there's not a goal, like we're not working to not.
Yeah, exactly. I get very complacent. I get lazy. So I was like, I need something. And I was like, well, as a kid, I did karate. I did a little bit during high school, but I mainly focused on football.
Okay.
I was like, let me tap back into that, right? Like, let me try. Let me at least try. And I was like, well, I'd rather do MMA. I don't want to do either or. I want to try to be diverse. So I was like, I need to learn jiu-jitsu. I know stand-up, but I don't know anything about grappling. So I asked Ryan that trains here.
Okay.
He brought me along, met the crew. Fantastic people, amazing people.
Good vibes there.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
good vibes
I mean, to be fair, it's my only gym I've ever trained at before, so I wouldn't know outside gyms.
Hawaii, most of the gyms have good vibes, but the vibes are very good.
So I was like a little bit skeptical because I've only ever heard horror stories, and I'm like, I want to make my own judgment. I don't want to, fault somebody before I've met them.
That's a very mature way to look at it.
But I'm scared, because I'm like, these guys know what I don't, and I know they'd beat me up.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I want to go in, expecting one thing, preparing for one thing, but I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Met Professor Joey. I've never met a nicer person ever, like a modern day ninja.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to learn that. I need to know what he knows,
So chill, so nice, can murder you.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. 1 second, you bump up and then he's cartwheeled over you. You're choked out. It's like, what the heck just happened? So I met the community here at Roots. Fantastic. I loved it, and that was it. Yeah, I got hooked. Just absolutely hooked. I guess I physically got hooked too,
Right, yeah.
in Roots, but I wouldn't say jiu-jitsu like kind of became my calling. I'm still a little partial to stand-up. That's what I first knew.
Okay.
But I would say I'm jiu-jitsu based now because this is the only thing I train.
And how long have you been training?
Since October 2023, I want to say.
Okay.
Not consistently. I'm very, I'll show up consistent for a month, and then I'll disappear for a couple of them, and then I'll come back. And it's kind of, I should be better. I know I should be better. I don't have an excuse. I always go, oh, work, it's preventing me.
There's some accountability. Like, I don't have an excuse. I'm just,
No, yeah. I'm physically tired, mentally tired, but there's always room for this, because it's kind of that, you get to decompress here, like this is one of my stress outlets. So I really have no excuse, Yeah. But
so aspiration is to still fight MMA?
Absolutely. It's the only thing I think about. Just wired in my head. It's the only thing I think about.
Have you had fights yet?
No.
Okay,
No. So yeah.
What would be your timeline? When are you thinking you're going to be ready for like your first amateur like intro fight, or maybe do like a triple threat type thing or something like that?
Ooh. My mentality says right now I'm ready.
Okay.
The training says otherwise. I'm not doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
But I just got a new job.
Okay.
So my schedule is going to be rotating for the next 6 months.
Okay.
So once I pass that rotating schedule deal, I want to find something immediately.
I say just sign up for something. Just like
Absolutely.
Get the goal out there. I know there's the triple threats where you do like 1 round of like stand up, 1 round of wrestling, 1 round of jiu-jitsu. They have I heard recently the guys from Hybrid are gonna do like a ground and pound, so like you can slap the guy with jiu-jitsu.
Oh, like combat jiu-jitsu
combat
almost.
jiu-jitsu type of thing, yeah.
Okay.
And then like even if you just take like a stand-up only match or like fight in like jiu-jitsu tournaments, like just put the goal out there, and then it's like you'll train for it and you'll show up because you don't want to embarrass yourself. And
yeah.
Why should I train? I got a match coming up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The moment you sign it and it becomes official.
Yeah.
It's a different tone. You gotta.
I personally, I love competing. Like I'll sign up for anything, but there are times when like there's nothing, or like and I kind of just slack off. I'm just playing in the gym.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, I got a match. Like I want to win this match.
Yeah.
Like lock in. Like, oh, you got good this month. Like I'm fighting at the end of the month. I gotta train for real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think mindset is a huge on and off switch.
Yeah.
The moment you're like, this guy could beat me and embarrass me. Then there's like a killer instinct that just switches, and you're like, he's fighting for second place. Like, not in a nice way, but like,
this is mine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm sorry you had to train all that much, to go home second place. Like that's the kind of the mindset I think I gotta go into a fight, but you also have to be humane about it because you don't want to break your character as a person, right? So I battle with that actually, where that like, I want to like, for instance, the only ever jiu-jitsu event I ever did was a Naga.
Okay.
And we're supposed to fight a different guy. I ended up fighting my teammate Kobe.
Oh, okay.
Before he became Roots, but he was in that transition phase anyway, so I knew of him and I knew we were gonna be teammates.
Right.
So there's a different mentality because I was training. I had a 4-month plan in my head. And then we finalized that, like, I was training in my head for a competition for the last 4 months. Finalized it 4 weeks out. Trained hard, trained heavy. We're ready for the fight. The guy never shows up. The guy I was supposed to fight never shows up. Never checks in. Never even announces that he's not going to be there. No dirt on anybody, right? It is what it is.
And
it happened.
You don't know what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I'm not trying to fault anybody or anything. It's not what I'm trying to do. But I was like, I'm gonna put the fear of God in this guy. Like I want to put a presence on the mat. This is my first ever jiu-jitsu match.
Right.
I'm representing the team, and I want to prove to myself this is something I can do.
Right.
So I was like ready to just not hurt him, but get the tap. Get the tap. That's all I wanted. If it was a by points win, I didn't consider it a win. I wanted the tap. I
always want that. I always want that.
Yeah. I wanted a tone to be set, and I wanted to express my presence. He gets called 3 times up. Nothing happens. His coach comes, you guys didn't hear, I'm sorry, like he's not here. So then we scramble, we're trying to find somebody. Found my teammate Kobe. Yeah, so it was an immediate like off switch. It was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not gonna fight. There's nobody, nobody below me was willing to come up and fight me because at that time I was 240.
Okay.
So I was already in the like, I think it's ultra or super heavy, I forget.
The top
yeah, it was up there. So nobody was willing to make that jump. And the only person we could find was Kobe, who was actually another class above me at, I think, 280 at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
he's
then,
a big boy.
Yeah, so then they asked me, oh, are you okay with that? And I was like, man, just, I'll fight.
Yeah,
I'll fight.
I'm already here.
But I don't think we went in there with a killer instinct, so it kind of gave me a weird vibe.
Yeah.
Totally lost train of thought of what I was getting at. What was I getting at?
So it's the like do I go in there with that like almost like a cocky attitude, or do I go in there with like a very respectful attitude?
Yeah, exactly. I went in there with a mutual respect for him. You know, I knew him as a person. You know, like if I'm fighting somebody I don't know, I'll respect him as a person, but I won't respect him as a fighter because I'm trying to best him. You know, at the moment the match is done, I'll be the nicest person ever.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I want him to be afraid of me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I battle. Like I was saying, I battle with that because I don't want to be that kind of person, and I feel like that breaks my moral code. But I don't think I can be myself and then hit somebody or roll somebody and try to break his arm and get the tap. You know, like, you know, it's that's where I struggle with that idea of fighting. I think I'm a very passive person, very nice. You know, like I don't want to make enemies. I want to be nice to everybody. You know, like not like in a fake sense either, where I'm like buddy with everybody. You know, but like I try to show everybody the same amount of respect that I would like to receive, and I don't think you can do that while you're trying to take somebody's shoulder off. You know, or like put them to sleep. It's like choking out, like taking all his blood circulation to his brain, and I'm like, thank you so much for this match. You know, like I don't know, I battle with that in my head.
I think in the competition, you have to find what you perform well as. I'm one of the guys, like in the competition, I'm trying to take your head off. Like I am the cockiest person when I compete. My wife, she played volleyball at a very high level. She was the complete opposite. She was super respectful. She performed well like that. I perform well like that. When I've like respected my opponent, I'm like, man, what was I doing out there?
Yeah, like, real slow and like.
I don't perform well that way.
Yeah.
For her, when she didn't get the result she wanted, she dealt with it well. For me, because I had to go to that like kind of aggressive, cocky place, the dump afterwards, if I lost, if I didn't win, it was like, man, I'd be in the corner like, don't talk to me right now. And like as I competed, I learned like I turn it on for the match, I turn it off when it's done. Like I can smile now after. But the initial like when I first took my first couple losses, like I was in the corner just mad at the world. I couldn't turn that switch off. So I tell guys, find what you compete well in, and then understand like just for the match, just for the fight, I'm going to be that cocky person. I'm going to be the respectful person. But whatever you compete well at, be that for that match. Because I think I'm a pretty nice guy, but if you're fighting me, it's a different person right there.
That Professor Joey says like 5-minute enemies, lifetime friends.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I can't disassociate that. I struggle with that very much. I think it's the Catholic education I had as a child. Just push the Christian morals and the Christian values on me, which is nothing wrong with that, you know. But I in my head I can't separate, you know, mean, punch you in the face, or like nice Nathaniel. You know, like, there's a mental block that I have to achieve or like overcome to be able to get in there. I think
as you compete, you'll figure out how to hit that on switch and then hit that off switch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. Just experience. Yeah, I'm gonna lose if I'm not fighting. If I'm always winning, I'm fighting the wrong people.
Yeah.
You know?
That's brilliant. Yeah.
I've had some type of level of competition my whole life.
Okay.
Track in elementary, football in elementary, football in high school, track in high school. I know what it's like to win big and lose big. You know, for example, I had a track meet. At the time of that meet, I was #1 in the state. Okay. Statistically, on paper.
What did you do? What was that?
Shot put in discus, of all things. Okay. As 185 pounds, while the other guys are 450, 350. You know, in that range, right? On paper, it should be a Nathaniel show. It should be a smoke show. You know, and I got an invitational only. Is basically a mock states meet. Okay. We went to Maui, did the meet. You know, did my thing. I set a new record for myself for discus. Shot put, I took 3rd because it was pouring rain. pouring rain. It's no excuse, you know. I should have, you know, if I want to be the best, I gotta be the best.
Win no matter
right?
what. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's no excuse for it, right? I couldn't figure it out. I kept falling. I ended up taking 3rd place, and that was a big hit to my ego, because every single Friday for a whole track season, I'd come home 1st place ribbon. You know, like they became so normal that I'd forget where they went.
Yeah, somebody I don't know where they're
Yeah,
at.
exactly. So I was like, I hit that 3rd place. I was like, what the heck? Like, reality check. You know, I mean, 3rd place is something you should be proud of still.
Yeah.
But in my head, I have to view myself as the best in whatever I'm doing to be able to succeed. Yeah. You know, and then states came around. I was already still upset. You know, the invitation. I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this. You know, so because it was beating me up. You know, because it's not an excuse. You know, like I know how to throw in the rain. Why didn't I?
Right.
You know, I'm cracking under pressure.
That's why we play the game, right?
Yeah.
You gotta perform the day of.
Exactly. And I was like, what would Kobe do? You know?
Kobe.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I gotta keep going. So states comes around. I do everything right. You know, get to bed on time. I ate the right things the week before. I ate the right things the night before. You know, I hydrated for the last 2 weeks. You know, I kept my sleep schedule on par. Everything to a T. I tracked it. I made sure. You know, because I was like, this is mine. Yeah. You know, I didn't train 4 years for nothing. I wake up the morning of 102-degree fever with the flu. I had the flu, and turns out somebody on the plane that we flew to Maui with had the flu. I contracted it. A couple of my other teammates contracted it. I was pissed. I was devastated. Mind you, it's I think track would be going on about this time of the year. Okay. And that year was a very wet winter. Okay. It was a very wet winter. I was like, there's no way. You know, I already got in my head. Last time I was here, it was raining.
I'm sick.
I fell, made a fool of myself. You know, like I was like, there's no way. You know, and I got to the meet and I was like, no, I can do this. Like, look, like there's nothing should matter. You know, if I'm the best, I'm gonna be the best right now. Yeah. I took 7th in discus, and I took 11th in shot put. Absolutely crumbled my world. Destroyed me. I wanted to go home right then and there. I don't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to eat nothing. I was like, I'm done with this. You know, none of you are my friends. I was like, that was my mood for like an hour, and then I calmed down, and yeah, it just that was the moment I knew that like you gotta hit adversity like that in some aspect.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like if you're not fighting the right people, or if you're always winning, you're not fighting the right people. Yeah. Well, in my sense, I was fighting, you know, nature, but yeah, nature always wins.
I think like competing in any aspect, doesn't matter if it's jiu-jitsu or football or team sports, individual sports, especially when you're young, dealing with the wins, but dealing with the losses.
Yes.
It sets you up for life.
Absolutely.
It's like people are like, oh, you know, I did this sport, that's what. It wasn't the sport. Like the skills in the sport didn't translate. Like throwing something or running fast or whatever, catching a ball. That's not a life skill. It's the winning and losing. It's the dealing with it. And like you grow up, you're like, I can deal with these setbacks because I dealt with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No. As a you know, when I was in those moments, I was like, what are they talking about? Like life lesson. Like
I win all the time.
Yeah. I was like, what does getting hit on the football field teach me? You know, like I'm playing football. I'm not, you know, going through life in this moment. Yeah. But looking back on it, it's like last play, this guy destroyed me. You know, and I'm rerunning the same play. What do I make different? You know, that's a level of adversity. Yep. You know, and I took that for granted. You know, instead of actually staying in those moments, I was ignorant and, you know, like I was more arrogant than anything because I knew that those kind of things can be seen and recognized. I just chose not to because I was, you know, 17-year-old.
Yeah, it comes with age, comes with maturity.
Yeah.
I have a question. So football, you kind of have some like physical, like when you take the big hits or whatever, someone hits you, there's a physical dominance like in that play. But like you reset, you come again, you go at it again. I'm gonna get my shots in this guy. Yeah. When you came to jiu-jitsu and dealing with the ego of some guy, probably you look at him like, I'm gonna run through this guy, and then he just strangles you over and over again. Oh. How did your experience with sports and competition versus, that in sports versus jiu-jitsu, how did your ego deal with that?
Fortunately for me, within that short period between football and jiu-jitsu, I think I had a decent level of maturity.
Okay.
Or I kind of matured a bit, and I knew going in that I was gonna lose every single encounter I had. I knew that everybody knew more than me. I knew that jiu-jitsu was built for the small man to beat the big man. And at the time I was hefty. You could hear me breathing a mile away. Like, I was considered the big man, right?
Yeah.
So I knew that there was zero chance unless I got lucky or I hurt somebody on accident, and that's the way I'd win.
Right.
And so I took everything with an open mind, and I purposely would keep losing, or I'd purposely put myself, like, for example, I still do it to this day. I'll pull somebody on top of me because I'm not too good with it on my back, so I, instead of try to fight my ego, I let it go, and I allowed myself to lose, and I allowed myself to learn, and I think it benefits me now. But yeah, to answer your question, I didn't have to battle my ego because I knew going into it, and I had good advice. Ryan really,
That helps.
Yeah, he said, tap. If someone's gonna hit you with something and you feel it and you're like struggling to get out of it, let it go. Tap. That's it. Don't try to fight it. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody was nice to me, and I think I like to think that I know myself and the type of person I am. So it didn't bother me when somebody went slow and then so like if you're in an armbar, right, and they slowly get you out and expose you like that. I've rode with some people that it bothers them so bad because no matter how bad they fight, try to do anything, at your own leisure, you just tap them, right?
Yeah.
I tried to force myself to be the opposite. Like okay, he can do this without any real resistance from me, and I'm trying my hardest.
Right.
And he's just breathing normal, not even dripping sweat.
He's talking to the guy on the
yeah,
side
rubbing his nose, whatever. So I'm like, okay. How did he do that? Let me analyze him after. Let me pick his brain. I want to know. I don't want to internally fight myself about it. I want to express myself, or not express myself, but I want to open up all of his knowledge. You know.
I think you came in with some wisdom beyond your years, but having somebody that had experience, like a mentor, a jiu-jitsu mentor, like, hey man, think about this. Hey, what about this? I tell guys, find someone you vibe with that's better than you, that's been here longer, and just have conversation with him about it, that person about it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to give you insight on a problem that's already been solved. You just haven't figured it out, right? It's like a cheat code. Like, I should have done that. Why didn't I do it the last 3 years? But yeah, it's awesome you have Ryan to kind of help guide you along the way.
Yeah. As the time went on, they all kind of became a little here and there, like, everybody has a game that they play, and like their strengths fall right into my weaknesses. I pick each and every one of their brains about it, like, how did you catch me on this, because you're the only one that does that to me, or how did you not tap to this because everybody else does, so like little bits here and there I'm able to kind of, I'm sure everybody else does this, and I think I'm very lucky that I get to be a part of Roots, and learn it from Roots. Not saying any other place is bad. We have people from all over, come in. We cross train with everybody, right?
There's a lot of cross training here, which is beautiful.
All phenomenal people. I'm very appreciative of Roots taking me in and not looking at me like, because when I came, I wouldn't say I was physically intimidating, but I was a little bit larger with zero knowledge. I was 260.
260 is even more physically intimidating.
I'm very thankful that they didn't let my size and my lack of knowledge prevent them from teaching me or rolling with me and giving me the experience. Like some jobs are like, you need 5 years experience, but it's like, how do I get that experience if you don't hire me? I thought I was gonna run into that, because Ryan emphasized, don't hurt anybody, let your ego go out the door. The moment you walk in, let your ego go out the door, because people don't want to roll with you if you're gonna hurt them.
Yep. And
so
especially if they're small and you're big, they're gonna be like, no.
I was very scared. Nobody would want to. Not a single person denied me. Not a single person denied me.
That's cool.
Yeah. And there's some people that had the time while we're training to actually recognize things I was doing wrong, and they would constantly correct me and drill it into me, you know. So, you know, absolutely.
You learn so much faster that way.
Absolutely. So I was very, very fortunate, very blessed to experience jiu-jitsu, or get experience through jiu-jitsu through Roots.
I think hearing your perspective, so like you always hear about like the small guy that comes in that's scared, but having the big guy come in that's scared because like I'm the big guy, everyone's gonna want to play with me, right? Like if you take your perspective of like I'm gonna do this controlled, I'm gonna be a nice big guy, then people are gonna want to train with you and you're gonna learn, and then when you have the skills, you can implement this nice slow arm bar and like, oh, check this out, right? That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else I want to ask you. Is there anything that specific you'd like to talk about?
No, not really. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we get some shout outs for like where can we find you on the socials and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't actually know my Instagram. I've only got an Instagram. I don't actually know it.
Okay.
I think it's Nathaniel.b. Nathaniel with an IEL. Sometimes spelled AEL, but Nathaniel with an IEL.b, all lowercase. I'm pretty sure that's my Instagram.
Okay. Yeah. And then the Roots gym, you want to shout out the Roots gym?
Yeah, absolutely. I only call it Roots. Roots Jiu Jitsu Hawaii. I don't know if it's back there in the shot.
Yeah.
Phenomenal people, absolutely amazing people. Took me in and blessed me with the knowledge of Jiu Jitsu, and I'll continue to learn it through them.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.